I hate doing intros. They feel so awkward. Honestly, an intro is like the most frustrating for me to do. I usually do it like 4 or 5 times because anyways, hi, welcome back. It's another day, and that means it's another day of Brittany Dawn being a menace on the internet and society at large. So we're going to continue to talk about it. And I did not include like personal conversation stuff in my last video, so I will do that on this video, but we'll do it at the end. So, you know, if you don't really care about the personal stuff, I'm not going to make you sit through all of that and whatever, like you get it. Okay, great. Let's see, what is today? Today is Monday, February 19th. So after I filmed and posted my last video, some things have happened. The Super Bowl happened. Brittany Dawn posted several cringy short videos, and Donald Trump got fined hundreds of millions of dollars. And I love that for him, truly. Where to even begin? So I have 3 videos of Brittany Dawn I want to talk about, and then one I don't really want to talk about. I just want to show you how stupid it is. And then after that, we'll have girl chat. So most of us either watched the Super Bowl or heard about the Super Bowl or have seen TikToks and whatnot from the Super Bowl. So Brittany Dawn posted a video after the Super Bowl on the He Gets Us commercial that we all saw. And I'll be honest, my initial reaction to I can't talk. Okay, let's try it again. So I will be honest, my initial reaction when I saw that commercial, as someone who's not a Christian, I actually looked at my husband and I said, I like that commercial. I may make myself look stupid here, but my initial reaction, my impression that I got was it was geared towards Christians, telling Christians to do better. That was my initial takeaway. I'm curious if anybody else got that as a first impression, because it showed people washing feet. It's a sign of humility. And you had the white man and the Native American man and the protester in front of the abortion clinic with the young woman who's either pregnant or had an abortion or whatever. And so I was like, okay, so it's telling Christians to humble themselves and be kinder to these people. That was my takeaway initially. Of course, I've now learned that David Green funded that, or the Green family funded that commercial, which he is the founder and CEO of Hobby Lobby. And he is worth, I just looked it up earlier actually, David Green is worth $15.4 billion with a B dollars, I immediately hate him, which I worked for Hobby Lobby like 1,000 years ago, and I didn't like the company then, but then they had the whole, trying to not cover birth control for women if you worked for them, that whole fiasco. And then he also donates a lot to like anti-LGBTQ stuff and whatever, doesn't matter. But so when I found out that David Green funded that, then I was like, because he's ick, right? And also, if you have that many $1 billion, then no, nobody needs that much money. Nobody on this planet needs that much money. You can't possibly spend it all for yourself, but you could spend it, I don't know, housing people. I mean, you can spend it in a meaningful way, is what I'm trying to say. And I just know myself, like, if I would never have that kind of money, because if I ever stumble into a shit ton of money, like, I'm going to help people around me. I'm like, what's the point of having it if you're just selfish with it? I don't know. Anyways, so of course, Brittany Dawn makes a video. Honestly, I'm surprised I'm not blocked yet, but that's because I'm a nobody.
Let's talk about the He Gets Us Super Bowl commercial. Came on TV last night while we were watching the Super Bowl, and immediately my friend and I looked at each other and said, this doesn't feel like God. While yes, it paints a beautiful message, it's not a biblical one. Jesus did not wash everyone's feet. He washed his disciples' feet, the ones who picked up their crosses and turned from their sin. And look, we are all broken, we've all fallen short, and we have all made mistakes. But the picture that the He Gets Us movement is showing is of lukewarm Christians who would rather paint their own picture of Jesus than turn from their sins. They're choosing their sin over sanctification. They're choosing to partake in this world rather than be separated from it. Jesus did not come to this earth to make friends. He came to share the gospel, the truth, and do it boldly and unapologetically. Jesus came to lead people to eternal freedom. Yes, the Bible tells us to love. Yes, Jesus asks us to forgive, but what he doesn't do is command us to condone a life that glorifies sin. This new age spirituality is painting a false narrative of the kingdom of God in the name of political gain.
Literally, I can't take anything she says serious because she hasn't read the Bible. Like, if you have not seen my last video, go watch my last video, then come back. Brittany Dawn has herself admitted that she has not read the Bible, and that is her goal for this year, is to read the Bible. So every verse that she talks about, every time she talks about the Bible, it is from something that she has heard, or something she has made up in her head, or something that she has read out of context. So why are you on the internet talking about this stuff? Because biblically illiterate is what Brittany Dawn is.
Came on TV last night while we were watching the Super Bowl, and immediately my friend and I
Also, why were you watching the Super Bowl? Isn't Taylor Swift demonic?
looked at each other and said, this doesn't feel like God. While yes,
Who's to say that your feeling was the correct one? What if somebody else saw it and felt that it was a kind, loving message? Just because supposedly you have discernment, as you say all the time, does that mean that your feeling is right and other people's feelings are wrong? Because
while yes, it paints a beautiful message, it's not a biblical one.
how would you know it's not a biblical one? You haven't read the Bible.
Wash everyone's feet. He washed his disciples' feet.
Okay, he washed his disciples' feet, including Judas, who he knew was going to betray him, yet he still washed his feet. So that is not a valid argument at all. Ooh, I wrote down some Bible verses here. And I don't remember why I wrote down Bible verses, but let me pull up my little Bible app. Yes, I have a Bible app. Let's see. I wrote down John 13, 14 through 7. Okay, so when I saw this, I remember now, I went back and I was reading that part in the Bible just to refresh my memory. John 13, chapters 14 through 17. And this is the NIV version. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. That sounds very kind, very loving. That sounds like a servant's heart, somebody who is humble and not judgmental and wanting to spread love and good things, which is quite literally the opposite of what Brittany Dawn does, which is super frustrating because at surface, she appears to be sweet, kind, caring, but it's all behind this veil of condescension. Wait, I'm not talking about the water. Okay. Condescension, not condensation. Okay. Yeah, so it's behind this veil of condescension and Christian superiority and just fakeness, in my humble opinion. And then I wrote down John 13:34 through 35. I see why I wrote this down now. Note that these are words in red. A new command I give you. Love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. I didn't see a but or an except if in that situation. It seemed pretty clear that, love one another as I have loved you, period, the end. Oh, wait, I got more notes here. Okay.
The ones who picked up their crosses and turned from their sin.
How could they pick up their crosses and turn from their sin if Christianity wasn't even a thing? Again, Jesus was a Jew and he had not been crucified yet. So at that point, the cross, the crucifix, had no symbolism to them whatsoever. So that's just a bunch of words that sound good in her head that she can put a pretty little bow on and feel like she said something there.
And look, we are all broken, we've all fallen short, and we have all made mistakes. But the picture that the He Gets Us movement is showing is of lukewarm Christians who would rather paint their own picture of Jesus than
lukewarm Christians who would rather paint their own picture of Jesus than turn from their sins. We have all painted a picture of Jesus because we weren't there. So you have either painted your own picture based on your own interpretation, or the picture you have was painted for you by a pastor, a preacher, an influencer, whatever. So all of us have a painted picture, and it's widely variable, obviously, clearly. And how can Brittany Dawn have a picture of Jesus that she has painted when she hasn't read the Bible? You haven't read the Bible. So, you have not read the Bible. I feel crazy because I feel like I could just say that 1,000 times. You have not read the Bible. So why are you making videos like this? This rhetoric, not just this video, but all of her rhetoric comes from a place of ignorance. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm not calling her stupid, but I am calling her ignorant. She is very ignorant. She is very biblically, She is very biblically ignorant.
From their sins. They're choosing their sin over sanctification.
I think she just likes to say fancy words like sanctification, discernment, anointing, edify. There's more. I actually wrote down a bunch for the last video, but she has these buzzwords that you'll hear her say: the enemy, discernment, anointing, sanctification, edify, the Lord. Like, she's got like a list of 10 buzzwords that she just says over and over and over, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. It drives me nuts.
You're choosing to partake in this world rather than be separated from it. Jesus did not come to this earth to make friends. He came to share the gospel, the truth, and do it boldly and unapologetically. Jesus came to lead people to eternal freedom. Yes, the Bible tells us to love. Yes, Jesus asks us to forgive, but what he doesn't do is command us to condone a life that glorifies sin.
He commanded you to love one another as I have loved you. That was his commandment, period. No ifs, ands, buts, except, or when it's convenient for you. No. Love one another as I have loved you. Period. End of discussion.
New Age spirituality is painting a false narrative of the kingdom of God in the name of political gain.
In the name of political gain, says the person who is a Donald Trump supporter. Sorry, if you're a Trump supporter here, I cannot relate to that. I'm not going to talk poorly of you or anything like that, because I think in this day and age, you can find any opinion. Like, you can validate any opinion on the internet. And while the internet is amazing because you can learn and research literally anything, but confirmation bias is real. So, if you already have an opinion, you're more likely to read things that validate that opinion. And, well, my opinion on Donald Trump is he is a shit human being, and it blows my mind how people literally worship this man. And wow, the cognitive dissonance is wild. But Brittany has been very vocal about being a Trump supporter, and as someone sharing these she thinks these are godly messages from the Lord, but you support that. We don't live in the same reality, clearly. So at the end of the day, Jesus cared about the poor and oppressed, and he didn't give a shit about your right-wing Christian nationalism. And the other thing, once I started really reflecting on this video, when you watch the He Gets Us commercial, every person that was having their feet washed were groups of people that were seen as lower than. And by that I mean, if you are an evangelical Christian, then someone who has had an abortion, a Muslim, different color skin, all of those things, they are stereotypically, whether intentional or unintentional, kind of painted as lesser than. And so it's not lost on me that there was no gay man washing the feet of a white, straight Christian man. It was always the other way around. So that is, depending on which way you look at it, that can be problematic. But again, my initial reaction when I saw the commercial was I liked it because I felt like it was telling Christians to do better. But clearly that was not the interpretation from everybody. So yeah. And I think Brittany Dawn personally is the last person that should be speaking on that. So moving on.
God of war, God of pain, of suffering, of destruction. I chase redemption.
The Super Bowl broadcast was 4 hours and 18 minutes. Taylor Swift was shown for a total of 55 seconds. So Taylor Swift and Ice Spice being shown every 30 seconds is clearly not accurate. That is clearly an extreme exaggeration. But if they're being demonic every 30 seconds, Brittany, then why are you watching it? Isn't that, according to the videos that you have posted, isn't that opening the door to demons in your house? Did you go anoint your house and your eyeballs after watching the Super Bowl? Or better yet, pluck it out? No, I don't mean that. It's a joke, okay? It's supposed to be funny. You get it, right? You get it. I'm not a violent person. Usually. Anywho. I bet she hasn't made it that far in the Bible yet where it talks about if your eye causes you to sin, to pluck it out. She probably hasn't gotten that far yet. Gonna be awkward. But for somebody that makes a lot of content talking about how everything is demonic, including Taylor Swift being demonic, if you truly believe that, then you wouldn't be watching it. So, I mean, it's just all for show, which if you're watching this video, then you already know this. So I know that you get me. And if you haven't watched my first video, or you don't you're like, oh my gosh, you're a terrible human being, and why would you talk about this? Just go watch my first video. Just do a quick Google search of Brittany Dawn. She is not a good person. She has a very problematic history, and in my opinion, she is using her platform to spread very hateful and harmful rhetoric. And I'm going to talk, some people are really into true crime stuff, and I don't hate it, but I can go either way. I don't know, working as a paramedic for so long, I don't have a need to hear things, just terrible things all the time. I'm kind of living in my happy bubble, not seeing that every day. And yeah, so I don't like, it doesn't bother me, but I don't seek it out is what I'm trying to say. But what I do get into is influencer culture and people using their platform for nefarious reasons, scams, MLMs, stuff like that. I do get into that. And I think the common denominator for me with that is that the people that seem to be behind like the influencers and MLM scams and all that kind of stuff, they're all on the outside seemingly very nice people. They're usually very well put together, well spoken. I don't know about that always, but people generally have nice things to say about those people. But when you start peeling the layers of that onion, they're rotten on the inside, and that has always bothered me. I think it's because, oh gosh, we're having therapy now. Okay. Wow. I just had a realization. I think I figured out why it bothers me so much. You are watching an epiphany in real time here, but I've never understood why that bothers me so much. And I think the reason is that I'm just realizing is because for me personally, I feel like I have always been very misunderstood. I have a serious case of resting bitch face, and so much so that when I was on the dance line in high school, they would make me put Vaseline on my teeth, so that like I had to force a smile, because I'm not somebody who's like a smiley person all the time. I'm just kind of chill, and my RBF makes me look like I'm mad and like unapproachable. And so my whole life I've had this reputation of being like a bitch or unapproachable. I'm not the outgoing like friendly girl generally, but when you peel back the layers of the onion that is Christy, deep down I think that I am a kind-hearted person. I am truly an empathetic person, and I want what's best for people, and I want to help people. I want to do good things. I want to be a person that when I'm no longer here and my name is brought up, it's she made me feel loved, or she made me feel seen, or whatever. But that's always been a struggle for me because I'm opinionated, very frank. I'm like that blunt friend, and I don't always think before I speak, but I've gotten better at that the older that I get. And so I think it's the opposite for me, I think, is why I gravitate towards this kind of content and why it frustrates me so much, because on the outside I can appear to a lot of people, and I have a funny story about that actually, but I can appear very unapproachable and very just unhappy or whatever, but that's just my face. But deep down I think I'm very kind and loving. I do hold a grudge, but I'm also better at that. Hey Jessica. Funny story. Maybe we'll tell it one day. Yeah. Wow. I really just had that epiphany here on YouTube. That's wild. So yeah. So people like Brittany Dawn, who were the opposite of me on the outside, she's very approachable. She's pretty. She's got a pleasing voice, a pleasing aesthetic, whatever. But deep down, she's rotten. And so I feel like, and also for me, being that I'm not a Christian, that's another like scar on my reputation, I guess, just because of where I live. People equate Christianity with goodness, and they can't understand how someone who is deconstructed from that can also be good because they're not of God. So that frustrates me, because I know, and the people that are close to me and that know me, they know that I am a good person. I'm a loving person. I'm very empathetic, but you've gotta, and that's why I've never had like many friends, because in order to see that about me, you've got to stick around long enough to kind of crack through that outer layer of the preconceived notions that you have about me based off of what you know on the surface. So I'm actually a little bit dizzy from this epiphany. Wow. Okay. So the funny story about that, if you're new here, I was a paramedic before I started content creation. I had a motorcycle accident and I can't do that anymore. So anyways, there was this new part-timer at work. Her name, I'll have to message her and tell her to watch this part of the video, but her name was Sherry, and she was a new part-timer at work, and I don't remember how long I had been around her before we actually worked together, but I'll never forget, we were working together one day and we run a call, have no idea what the call was. And I remember we were headed back to the station and I was probably over there doing paperwork. And I remember her looking at me and she was like, you really are a nice person. And I was like, thank you. I don't remember what she said, but the way she said it, she was shocked that I was very empathetic and caring and I had good bedside manner, and she was shocked because she had not gotten through the RBF and whatever her preconceived notions were about me. And I'll just never forget her looking at me and saying, wow, you're really a nice person. And I was like, shh, don't tell anybody. It's our secret. So I kind of use that to my advantage sometimes. I knew that people's initial perception of me was not always the best. Maybe I'm not that great at first impressions. I'm somebody that you really have to get to know, I guess. I don't know, but I just always thought that was really funny. And yeah. Okay, we got off on a tangent there, but thank you for attending my therapy session. I have been to therapy several times and that has never been pointed out to me. So yeah. Wow, okay. Back to Brittany Dawn. First of all, this is Brittany Dawn watching the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Oh no, now he's got him on the screen. I know this song.
Brittany, you are very white. You are extremely white.
I mean, is she wearing a flotation device? Like, girl, what are you wearing?
Oh, see, I told you this isn't best for last.
I know this song.
Also, I thought you didn't listen to secular music. I'm pretty sure she made a video about how she does not listen to secular music because it's demonic. And I think she may just have such a problem with Taylor Swift because at the end of the day, Taylor Swift is probably way more like Jesus than Brittany Dawn. I don't know Taylor Swift personally, but I'm certainly not like somebody that's typically a Swiftie as far as her music goes. I love a lot of her songs, but a lot of them I don't know. I think she's very talented. She's on top of the world right now, but she's done a lot of good things with her success, with her money, with her influence, and I think that bothers people like Brittany Dawn. I think that's why I see so many people bashing her on social media right now, because at the end of the day, what you tell people you believe is irrelevant. If you tell people I'm a Christian, I love Jesus, like, cool. But unless your life reflects that, like, unless nobody cares. What people care about is the way you make them feel, the way that you treat other people. And this rhetoric is just, it's not it. And Taylor Swift just genuinely seems to be a decent human being and appears like she tries to make the world a little bit of a better place. And then there's people like Brittany Dawn that just can't leave it alone. She's just going to use it as a social media trend for her own benefit, which at the end of the day is money. Oh my God. Spooky. Ugh. That is foul. Oh my God. Okay, sorry about that. All right, on to the next video.
You cannot believe in evolution and also believe in God. But more specifically, you cannot believe that we were created and started as monkeys, but that also we were made in God's image. Genesis 1:27 says, "So God created man in his own image. He created him in the image of God." Then it goes on to say in Genesis 2:7, "Then the Lord God formed the man out of the dust from the ground and breathed the breath of life into his nostrils, and the man became a living being." Here's your reminder that just because it's science doesn't mean it's true.
I like how she put science in quotation marks. Wow. So this is a lot. First of all, her education failed her, but evolution does not mean that we came from monkeys. What evolution, by the theory of natural selection, states is that we share a common ancestor with chimpanzees. And when you compare our DNA, we are like 99% the same. So, And I like how, so science is not something that you believe in or don't believe in. Science is facts, and not believing in, as she put, science is delusional. That's straight up delusion. Faith is a belief system. Whatever religion you are, that's a belief system, but science is not a belief system. It's insulting to even compare the two as if science is another belief system. And if you don't believe in science, then why would you go to the doctor? Like, she's struggling with infertility, trying to get pregnant right now, and I think is about to start IVF or looking into IVF, which I have something to say about that as well. But so if science is a belief system, and just because science says something doesn't mean it's true, why would you go to the doctor? Like, come on. This is what I mean with her. She just says things that she thinks sounds good. She thinks gives her clout. She thinks gives her the moral high ground over someone else, or the intellectual superiority, when people that actually know anything know that she just says this shit. It's her thing. Her social media is her stage. She is a performer, and she is a grifter, and she is doing this for money. She's notorious for deleting comments that don't go in her favor. It's so frustrating to me when you see videos like this and then you look at the comments and it's just hundreds or thousands of comments agreeing with her. Or I think I saw one on one of her videos recently, and it was a girl saying that she's 14 years old and I don't remember the gist of the comment now, but it was a 14-year-old girl, and I just thought, wow, what a horrible role model no, she's not taking off her clothes for the internet. So like in that sense, yeah, but there's no depth there. It's all surface level. It's all bits that sound good, and it's clickbait. It's rage bait. It's trauma dumping. But that's it. There's nothing else behind that, because she can't substantiate anything she says. But she knows it's like, I hate to keep comparing her to Donald Trump, but like some of the things he says, he thinks that if he says it enough times that it's true, no matter how many times it's been debunked or proven to not be true. Just saying it over and over and over. And to his credit, it works. I mean, and to Brittany Dawn's credit, it works. If you say, this is demonic, or the Lord told me this so many times, they're just not going to question it anymore, and it's frustrating for me. Honestly, I think that she is a menace to society and needs to exit the internet. We don't want an encore. We don't want, no, just leave. I also find it strange that this video she shows is so far-fetched and just absurd, but totally normal that she thinks this is how it happened. I don't know. But off subject, so I had a patient one time that looked just like this, and he was driving in a pickup truck, and he ran off the road at a high rate of speed, and he hit a tree, and inside the cab of his truck was like, I don't remember how many, but multiple bags of sackcrete, which is like concrete before you mixed it. And so that powder, like the powder, all those bags just exploded with the impact, and he looked just like this. He was covered in sackcrete. And when I first saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, that instantly reminded me of that. I think he ended up breaking his back. I don't know how bad, or I think I heard his back was broken in several places, but he lived. But anyway, so that is, I don't know about Adam, but that is what you look like when you have a horrible car wreck, when you have bags of sackcrete in the compartment of your car. Also, fun fact for those of you that don't know, everything that is in your car that is not secured becomes a projectile when you get into a wreck. So like, I don't know, your big Stanley cup or something like that, you get in a really bad wreck, that becomes a projectile and can cause other injuries. I'm not saying to go strap everything down. I'm just saying don't ride around with like a hammer in your passenger seat, or like just don't ride around with a hammer, period. Like secure it in the trunk or something. Just, I don't know, totally off topic, but some free information. So back to her video on evolution. When I watched that, I wanted to show you guys a book. This is written by Richard Dawkins, who's an evolutionary biologist. I got this book for my kids about 10 years ago, and they are 17 and 18 now, so they were 7 and 8, and I bought them this book, and it is a wonderful book broken down into easily digestible sections. But it's great for kids, and it's also great if you are an adult and you feel like you are not very scientifically literate or inclined, or you just can't remember the ins and outs of certain things that you learned many years ago. The Magic of Reality explains a lot of natural phenomenon. I don't know how you say that, but it explains a lot of that, and just cannot recommend it enough. I would love to send a copy to Brittany Dawn, but I know that she won't read it. So here's the chapters, or the contents. These are some of the things that it talks about. I will have this linked for you if you would like to get it for your kids or even for yourself. Really a fantastic book. I looked it up on Amazon last night, and they still sell it on there, but the cover is different now. But I'll have that linked for you. It is an affiliate link. I will get a small commission if you use my link, but if you don't want me to get a commission, then just type it in Amazon and order it yourself. That's fine. But yeah, this was a really, really good book. And I think that Brittany Dawn could benefit from a book like this. But just anybody who, you know, as an adult, we forget things. I have the memory of a goldfish, and Lee has the memory of an elephant. He never forgets anything. I forget everything. So I'm somebody that just has to brush up on even the very basic things every once in a while. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys that. The last video I wanted to show you of BDong, as she is known on Reddit, is a video that I came across on Reddit. I never saw this on her social media. In fact, I tried to find the original, and I don't know if she deleted it, but I couldn't find the original. But I was actually going to make a spoof of this video, so I went out and bought eyelashes, like really obnoxious tarantula eyelashes, and I planned on wearing them for this video, but I didn't feel right because there are some things, I don't know. I'm going to save them for a future video, but I did not feel like wearing them today. But back to me telling you how I think Brittany Dawn is a garbage human. Well, enjoy this video.
Turn it off.
She really did that. She had to set her camera up on a tripod and fake cry and then get herself together to film a second. Like, I don't think a lot of people think about the mechanics behind content creators like this. And I talked a little bit about that in my last video, if you made it to the end of that video. But it's not like she just happened to be captured on camera in a bad moment. She set that scene up. That was intentional. That was orchestrated. And it's garbage. It's garbage. I did a day in the life video a while back because my regular subscribers, when I asked them what kind of content they would like to see, a lot of them wanted to see a day in the life video. So I finally filmed one. And while I had fun editing it together and like creating that story, it was still orchestrated, and that's not natural for me. On one hand, I liked it because I liked the creative process of it, but on the other hand, it's not that realistic, just because what you don't see in the day in the life video is me having to move that stupid camera around everywhere to get a shot of me brushing my teeth, turning the shower on, like whatever else I did that day. I don't even remember, but it all had to be thought out and pre-planned, and it's not a natural thing to do. It didn't feel like that to me. Yeah, that video is so cringy to me. Oh my gosh, it's so cringy. On a more serious note, I don't know why I don't spend too much time on social media just because I'm always busy editing a video or something, but I have not seen this all over the internet, and I don't understand why, because this is huge. But if you remember my last video on Brittany Dawn, when we covered her Roe v. Wade video, when we covered her Roe v. Wade video and how disgusting it is that she was celebrating it being overturned, and then I was comparing abortion in a very early pregnancy, and I was comparing that with like people who do IVF and then they have too many embryos, so they do a selective reduction, which is just a nicer word for they abort those extra embryos to give like the healthiest embryo a chance at a healthy pregnancy. Well, the state of Alabama just declared that embryos, no matter what stage, are underage minors.
I told you all I had some stuff to talk about, and Alabama, I need you to listen up. The Supreme Court for the state of Alabama has recently ruled that an embryo in a petri dish is a minor child. I'm not making this up. The central question presented, which involves the death of an embryo in a cryogenic nursery, is whether or not the act carries an unwritten exception for an extrauterine embryo. That is, unborn children who are located outside of a biological uterus at the time they are killed. Wrongful death of a minor act applies to all unborn children, regardless of their location. The verbiage that they use alone is terrifying. This was an 8-1 decision. That means that only one judge at the level of the Supreme Court was able to separate their personal religious bias from scientific common sense. Now, I'll tell you quickly what happened. In 2021, 3 couples had embryos at a fertility clinic in Mobile, Alabama. Somehow a patient was able to get out of their room and make their way to the cryogenic freezer, where they pulled some of the embryos out. The temperature from the container burnt the patient's hands, and they dropped the embryos. My heartfelt condolences to the families who lost their embryos. Infertility is tragic. Could this be called medical malpractice or negligence? Yes. Wrongful death of a minor? Absolutely not. This is a petri dish, not a life. Does it have the potential to become life? Yes, maybe, inside a uterus. But even then, it's not guaranteed. There is no potential for life in a petri dish. This is an outrageous Supreme Court decision. It was kept suspiciously quiet for a reason. This will devastate the fertility industry in the state. It's going to devastate the OB/GYN oncology industry. Those types of doctors deal with those patients all the time. They freeze their embryos prior to treatment. We were already hemorrhaging OB/GYNs in this state because of the abortion ban, like to the point of maternity wards shutting down. If you have a wife, a daughter, a sister, any woman in your life that you love and care about, you need to think long and hard about your vote this time, because the decisions that are being made in this state are opening up a Pandora's box. We are sliding towards the collapse of our healthcare system.
That creator is a CRNA, which is a nurse anesthetist. I can't say that word. Nurse anesthetist. Yeah, I'm ignorant. Okay. But I did not hear about it from her. I heard about it somewhere else. But this literally just happened a few days ago in the state of Alabama, and it is being really, really quiet. And I'm shocked at how quiet it has been. But what I do not think that people are prepared for with something like this is now going to affect those who are using fertility treatments. So now, like, couples will freeze embryos. Well, there's a storage fee for, I don't know how much it is, but there's a storage fee for that monthly. So what are they supposed to do after, say, they have a healthy pregnancy and don't need the other embryos anymore? Like, do you pay an indefinite storage fee? You can't destroy them now because it's a minor child. Like, what? That is crazy. Please let me know if you have heard about this. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm sure Texas will be on board with something like this, which is where Brittany Dawn is, who is, I think, considering IVF. Yeah. So I wonder now, under Alabama law, if you were to get pregnant through IVF and then you end up with multiples, I wonder if they would do the reduction now under the laws that we have. But that's always been very acceptable with fertility treatment. Even Christian couples who seek fertility treatment will have the selective reductions, but it's all part of IVF and a wanted pregnancy, so that was fine, but nobody else could get an abortion. So that's kind of what I was talking about in the last video and comparing, and then I literally found out about this ruling in Alabama 2 days ago. So that's wild. That is all I have today for Brittany Dawn. So the personal girl chat. The first thing is I did which you've already seen by now, a speaking engagement with Dr. Godzik the other day. And they gave me this magazine. It's the 10 Golden Years Department of Neurosurgery at UAB. And if you're not familiar with UAB is one of the leading hospitals in the nation, but their 10th anniversary neurosurgery. And there is me. There I am. There's only one other patient story in this magazine, and if I do say so myself, it was not that exciting. But luckily for him, it was not that exciting. But yeah, so that was cool, and they gave me a copy of that. So Lee did have that injection in his back. It's been a little while now. He's still in a lot of pain, so I'm not sure, but we see Dr. Godzik again in March for Lee. I can't remember when I'm supposed to go back for me, but I'm doing pretty good. Still have not heard anything from disability. I called my lawyer, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and she said that she pulled up everything and said that the state had not done anything with my case since October. So that is fun, especially since, like I've said, my youngest is going off to college and he's getting my car in April. We do have an extra vehicle, but it's a 2002 old Kia Sorento, and the paint is rusted off and it runs. Yeah. I guess it's superficial of me. I don't like it. It's old. I would love to have something a little newer and nicer. So disability, if they would give me my back pay, then I could get a vehicle. But here we are. And I am still doing my fingernails. I have the ugliest hands. I have the most crooked fingers. It drives me crazy, but I'm still really enjoying doing my fingernails at home. And some of you guys, if you're new here, I have been doing my dip powder nails at home through a company called Revel Nail, and they do have really good customer service because it's called the step 3, the top layer. It got glued, the brush hardened on it, and I just sent them an email and they sent me a replacement for free. But I will have all the links for that in the description below. Those of you that have used my link to purchase, thank you so much. And I got a little commission check from that, so that was exciting. But nobody has told me that they bought it, so I'm curious, those of you that have bought it and are doing, how is it going for you? I would love to know. Are you liking it? Are you having trouble? If you are having trouble, there's another creator on here. I talked about her in another video, but I think her name is Chelsea. Yeah, her name is Chelsea. Her YouTube channel is Sip and Dip, and she has fantastic videos. So if you're having trouble, go there or email me, message me, DM me, whatever, and let me send you the videos that I found helpful. Because there is a little bit of a learning curve there, but that's all I got wrote down. That's all I can think about. Yeah, I just want to say thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see you soon.